Hello and welcome to another tips, tricks, tutorials video where we're going to look over schedule editing in general, including the feature race and kind of how to add new or edit existing feature races and then how to put those into a schedule. But we've done some work. This is the UK schedule, but the hurdles in Ireland that were set to 2 miles instead of 2 miles 4 have been fixed, and the race meeting for early February in Ireland has also now been fixed. So I can kind of scroll. I think it's October. Should be a 2-4 Hatton's Grace Hurdle. There we go. So this race was for some reason set to 2 miles. It's actually supposed to be 2 miles 4. Pointed out in the comments. If you do have any things you need to say, comment section. I always read, I always respond, so please do let me know there. Any thoughts, tips, tricks, etc. that you want to share, any comments about realism, about extra races, about something that doesn't look right, something that I've messed up, do feel free. But yeah, this did come from the comments, and then I went and verified it. And the one thing I will say is this was a schedule that was built, or a feature race file, I should say, that was built by MJ when he created the last update on the start date mod 5.15, or even before that. I think that's like 2019, 2020. So sponsorship might be different. This may be the Hans Grace Hurdle, but this might have been a 2 mile race from elsewhere. And there might be another 2 mile 4, which used to be named something different, and has since been renamed the Hans Grace Hurdle. So sponsorship is kind of an issue. And with the February meeting in Ireland we're going to look at next, that's definitely something that was an issue. I don't really know what the normal names of the races before they're sponsored are, so I can't go back and just name them that and remove all sponsorship. It'll take a long time to do that anyway. I don't feel the need to do it. But that might have been what happened. I had to kind of dig in and find, possible races it could have been, but I couldn't find anything definitive. So I did just redistance this up to 2-4. But the 2-4 might be in here under a different name, and this is a different 2 mile, which should be 2 mile, but isn't anymore. I don't really care, but some people might. So I kind of want to put that out there and let you know that may be what has happened. But the Hans Grace Hurdle, whether it's this race or another race has since been renamed that, should be over 2 mile 4. So at least that is in here. So we got that on the 27th of November. That's probably quicker to come out and go back in. And the rest of it is pretty much the same until we get to February the 5th. And all of a sudden we've got the New Year's sort of beginning of the big first race meetings, really. We go to Leopardstown, and this is the Dublin Spring, not the Spring Cup, Dublin Spring Meeting, or Dublin Racing Cup or something. I can't remember the exactly name of it. But we got basically highlighted by the Champion Hurdle and the Irish Gold Cup. So these are the races I found. The sponsorship names are different for this year, but this year, I believe, or next year, one or the other, I believe they're racing one on a Saturday and one on a Sunday. And they've got like 6 or 7 races per day, but I'm only including the grade ones. There's a couple of grade 2 flats, there's a grade 3, there's another grade 2, there's a couple of listed. I haven't included any of those, but all the grade ones I have. So we've got the Nathaniel Lacey Hurdle, the Tattersales Juvenile Hurdle, the Arkle Novice Chase, and the Irish Gold Cup on that first day. And then on the second day, the Dublin Chase, the Novice Hurdle, the Novice Grade 1 Chase, and the Champion Hurdle. Now, this is definitely renamed to something else in real life. But this was what it was called previously. So my research did kind of pay off in that. But this is our first big sort of change. So the first big meeting that has kind of meant something. Now, the other thing I wanted to do with this was kind of made the Grand National my goal. However, it's very difficult, very random with the Grand National. There's 40 runners. It's difficult to predict. You don't know where you're going to be in the pack. Anyone can fall. Anyone can get injured. Anyone can come unseated. Anyone can get blocked off. It's such a tough race. The distance is almost impossible to reach at 4 mile, 3 furlongs. Nobody's at that distance. They're all trying to get as close to it as they can. Um, Checking a lot of the winners, there's a lot of 2 4s to 2 6 runners that do quite well. There's some like 3 mile, 3 2, which run pretty well. So it's not always about being on distance, but it's a unique challenge. And making this save about winning it is kind of limiting because we can only run it once every few years, where we've got anyone realistically, maybe 2 3 years we run it, because we don't have that quality of a horse that could even approach 3 miles, for instance. I don't think there's a point in running it in those circumstances, unless we just got a super horse we want to just try. And then also winning it, I think if you won it once every 5 times you raced it, that would be kind of a big success. And so you look at it from that point of view, and you think about it, you do the math, and like, what, I'm kind of penciling myself to win once every 15 or 20 years, maybe. That's not really the focus of the save at that point anymore. Especially not when you're getting yearlings. You're breeding this year for yearlings next year. For horses that aren't going to do anything as a 2-year-old, maybe run some flat as a 3, but that's it. Probably look really bad at 4 year of age. Go to hurdles at 5. And maybe into 6. Move into the chase racing. Sort of do okay at age 6 in that. Age 7, start progressing a little more and winning decent feature races, and then being 8 before we can challenge for a grade 1. It's a long wait. In the flat save, in the US flat save, our goal is the Kentucky Derby, and by extension, the American Triple Crown, which is the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes following the Kentucky Derby. That happens in May every year. May 2nd, May 16th, June 4th, or June 6th, I think, then for the Belmonts. Like, very early in May for the Derby, we move to the Preakness 2 weeks later to the day, and 3 weeks later to the day, I believe, give or take a day, would be the Belmont. So we kind of know what we're getting in for, and that's for 3-year-olds. To breed this year, to get yearlings, to run your maidens, and try and get a grade, if not a grade 1, especially with the new schedule, to get a grade 1 on your 2-year-olds. And then you've only got a couple of months prep before the Kentucky Derby in their 3-year-old season. And halfway through that 3-year-old season, you're completely done with it. The timescales are completely alien to one another. So I thought, let's still make that a massive race. Okay, let's still make that a massive, massive race. And I think the 29th. It's not the 29th. I moved it. Did I? Yeah, okay. No, it's April 9th. Sorry, not 29th. So I've renamed it the Grand National instead of Grand National Handicap Chase because it's no longer a grade 3 handicap because realism can go out the window. Instead, we edited that feature race file and made it a big money race. So it's a 5 million prize fund for now winning the Grand National. We've kept it at the same distance. We've renamed it to be a bit more easy to spot and to read. And I like that. I like those changes. So it's a big money race. It's now a grade 1 race. And it's right there. But that's kind of the white whale. That's what we're looking for. That's that once in a lifetime race that will just be, completely everything done. We've just won the Grand National. We just need to win that once at some point. That's fantastic. But there needs to be more to hold my interest and to save and to build and to race younger and at higher levels and have a lot more horses being able to be bred from the game files. A lot more game bred size that are actually good. A lot of high graded horses. A lot of horses that win prize money. And that way, we're going to not only make the game more difficult by having a lot more high quality horses to race against, but also make breeding slightly easier by having those horses then go into the breeding barn and we can try and, breed some of our top mares with them and get something worthwhile back. So, kind of two-headed there. That's one thing I did, was the Grand National. The other thing I did was I went and did something fun of a similar nature to the Grand National. Again, I kind of only need to run this once, and I think it's like March 16th. I was going to say 17th. Sorry, 18th. And yeah, we haven't done too much of this, but we have increased the prize money of the Cheltenham Gold Cup to 4 million. Kind of big increases for both. But my hope is these two now become those prestige races in British racing, like I think they are in real life. But the game doesn't really treat them like it, and the AI owners and trainers don't. But now they're by far the biggest prize money races. I think there's going to be more of a push to breed for them, and I think that's good. I think that's only going to help out the game, but it kind of spotlights and highlights the Cheltenham Gold Cup in mid-March, and then mid-April or early April, we have possibly even winners from this going into the Grand National. I think that's good. So the Hattons we put a 2 for. The February meetings we've done in Ireland, the Dublin. It's the Dublin Racing Festival. Simple as that. Dublin Racing Festival. It'll be 31st of January, 1st of February. Like I say, in this game, it's February 6th and 7th. But it's basically these 8 ratings. So, yeah, we fixed the Hattons. We did this meeting at Leopardstown, not Punchestown, Leopardstown, for the Dublin Racing Festival. Yeah, and the Grand National, and then the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And I was looking at the schedule, and I was counting the number of Grade 1 races, and my big issue came in one place. And I shouldn't, but I'm comparing to the American schedule. Because I know the American schedule is just crazy, the number of races we can race, right? I mean, like I say, we got 6 races across the season of like real top quality races for stayers. That's a mile 4 runners. We got the Shima, the King George, Arc de Triomphe, Japan Cup, the Vase, and the Arimakinen. We got the World Cups. We renamed the Saudi Cup to the Saudi World Cup to go from Pegasus to Saudi to Dubai. Bang, we got our little trio there at mile 1, mile 2. We got 6 races for milers, starting and ending in Hong Kong. And we got some sprinter races, which also I moved the Everest out to Christmas Day for the richest prize in all of racing on Christmas Day down under in Australia. Like, this is sort of better spread and number of races. And this is only the the best of the best. There's still like 20 or 30 other races at these distance, probably at grade 1 level, in this US flat schedule. And then there's a bunch for 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and etc. It's very well developed. You can run at any time of the year, at any distance, against the best in the world, at any age. It's up to you. That's what I built this schedule for. I built the UK one first, and I built a better one than the default, and I was happy with that. But then after building this one, where take your pick of up to 9 Triple Crown races from New Zealand, America, Canada, France, Australia, South Africa, UK, Ireland, and or Japan, as well for your 3-year-olds. Or, and this is the kicker, 41 grade 1 races for 2-year-olds. Even after my changes and upgrades, including all the races from UK, Ireland, and France, there are not 41 races at grade 1 level. We do not have 41 grade 1 races. Not just for 2-year-olds, like the American schedule has, in total. All race courses, all ages, all distances. So I had to get a little bit crazy. And I went ahead and I built my own. So I'm calling it the National Hunt Cup. I chose 3 places, Ascot, Cheltenham, and Aintree. And I went and I created races at different distances between 2 mile 1 and 3 mile 6, and a top one off at 4 miles. Throughout the year, basically, it's 4-year-old and up, and there's some 5-year-old and up. But I went and built a National Hunt Cup, and I named them after a bunch of legendary jumps horses from the UK and Ireland. We got Dunkirk, we got Monksfield, we got Persian War, we got Isterbrack, we got Kauto Star, Moscow Flyer, Night Nurse, Annie Power, Anlog's Daughter, Arkle, Sprinter Secret, Dawn Run, Flamebolt, Millhouse, Desert Orchid, and my favourite, and the one I had to put at 4 miles because synonymous for me with the Grand National, is Red Rum. I booked them out over back-to-back days in September, in June, in May. Why? Because they kind of line up with a Triple Crown on the flat, which is also what we created. My 4-year-old Triple Crown, my 5-year-old Triple Crown, and my 6-year-old and older Triple Crown. So we run from the Guinea Juvenile and Ascot, or the Guinea Hurdle, or the Guinea Chase, into the Derby Juveniles, Derby Hurdles, or Derby Chase, and finish off with the St. Leger Juveniles, the St. Leger Hurdles, or the St. Leger Chases. The Juveniles are for 4-year-olds, the Hurdles for 5-year-olds, and the Chase races are for 6 and up. And I built those with these National Hunt Cup meetings. And what this gives us is not only an updated racing festival in Dublin, the fix to the Hattons in November, more prize money in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and more prize money and a grade 1 in the Grand National, which I've also lowered the age from 7 to 6 on, so we'll get more chance to run it earlier as well. I forgot about that change. So I've gone in, I've edited everything, and it is all on this schedule. If we go into May, we do see May 1st to May 2nd, we've got the Ascot National Hunt Cup meeting, including the beginning of the 4-year-old, the 5-year-old, and the 6 and up Triple Crown jumps. And I know there is a jumps Triple Crown technically, and what people think, it's not really well established, it's not really a thing. Like the American Triple Crown is a thing. The flats are kind of a thing, but they're so difficult to win. And I think on jumps you'll have more of a chance. But it also gives us something year on year. If we've got 4-year-olds, then hey, we can run, a bunch of races here at a bunch of different sort of distances. We've got this huge meeting of big prize money. So we got 5 million in the Grand National. We've got 4 million in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And then in the big four races, which is going to be Caro Star as a sort of feature of this Ascot National Hunt Cup meeting in May. Arkle is the big sort of race here at Cheltenham in June. And then we've got Desert Orchid and Red Rum at Aintree in September. Those four are all going to be 3 million prize money. And all of these other ones are 1.5. All of these guineas are kind of stepped up. 4-year-olds, 1 million. 5-year-olds, 1.3. The 6-year-olds will get 1.5 for this one. We move on to June 20th. 19th to 20th at the Cheltenham New Course. We got these races, and now again you can see 1 million for the Oaks, 1.5 for the full, because fillies can also go in this race. So it's not like we're giving them less money. We only split the guineas into 2,000, 1,000 for colts and fillies. Everything else is integrated into one, and then a version of the Oaks just for fillies on top of that. But part of the Triple Crowns are not going to include the Oaks. You can see here, yeah, it goes 1 million to 1.2 million to 1.5 million for the Oaks, whereas we've got 1.5 million, 1.8 to 2.2 for our versions of the Derbies. And then, if we go to the 19th to 20th of September, you can see here again, these races are all 1.5s, and the 3 million, like I say, for the two big ones at the end of this meeting. But again, 1 million, 2 million, 1.2 to 2.3, 1.5 to 2.6. So we're kind of investing a lot of prize money, and I think these three meetings will now be really big ones in the calendar. What I also don't want to do, though, is overshadow the meetings early on in the season, especially with this in May. I kind of think it's still important to make sure this is a big meeting. And right now, it's kind of not, right? It's kind of not. I think it's okay. It's not bad. It's a 3-day meeting. We've got a couple of good races, but we haven't got anything crazy apart from the Grand National itself. So I do want to start off with is by taking a look at these ratings. So, yeah, let's make sure they're all set up the same. Yeah, it is 2 mile 5 furlongs. So the Betway Bowl is the first one we're going to look at. 5-year-olds and up. That's on April 7th. Oh, that's a 3 mile one. I knew there was something telling me that was wrong. This is the 2 mile 5. Entry. Hurdle. That's 4-year-olds and up. And then we move into the Melling Chase, which should be 2-4. It is 2-4. A 5-year-old up on April 8th. Gonna be weird about me alt tabbing out. And then we got the 3 mile 110 yard the stairs hurdle. This is a, what, 4-year-old and up? Oops. April 9th, and then we've got the 4 mile, 3 furlong, 110 yards. The Grand National for 6-year-olds and up, April 9th. So I want to build this as more of a prestige meeting. And I think 2 ways I'm going to do that is we're going to end on the big race. So like the Grand National is going to be here. This we might just remove. But basically we're going to highlight this. I'm going to increase the prize money of all these races as well, up a little notch. And then we're going to have a little bit more prestige to the Grand National meeting in April. And if we go to mid-March again, we got basically, there we go. I was going to say, I think it's 3 days. But we basically got the old course and the new course. 2 days on each. As part of the Cheltenham Festival. So I'm going to go ahead and build these. Okay, so we've made a note of all these. And like I say, I like the feature races to kind of be in certain places, so we can go and move those, edit the prize monies, and show how to kind of edit the feature race file, which isn't as complicated as it might seem. Let me go ahead and just put that over there. We're going to go save and quit. And quit out of the game. Now, to edit schedule, I need to rename the default data. I need to go in to edit the database that's got our modded information in. And now we can find our jump schedule. Which one was the last one I actually did out of these? What's this? 2024. That's PJ's. This is my short schedule. Built that off. I finished with that on the 12th. That's not mine. Did work on that one yesterday. Don't know if that one worked. I think this is my last one that I liked and worked. So we're going to load this up. We are going to load this up. Yeah, this was the one that I didn't actually have in. Is it tester? It is tester. Okay. So tester is what I built that game off, and you can tell by the fact that all these races are in and they all work just fine. That's good. This gives us a good thing to build off. Let me go ahead and get my floating screenshot. I do love my floating screenshots. So we can kind of build everything. Let's start with the Champions Hurdle. So, should be March 15th and 16th. First point in our schedule, so we can see the Champions Hurdle. We can see the Mares Hurdle. And then we can see the Queen Mother Chase. Cool. That's fine. I'm going to take all those out for now. We will be adding these back in the future. Then we got the Ryanair Chase, the Stayers Hurdle, and the Cheltenham Gold Cup itself. Take those out because they're going to get into better positions. And then early April, the Betway, the Aintree Hurdle, the Melling, the Stayers, and the Grand National. So all of these have now been removed from our schedule. And to remember this, I'm going to name it something, just anything, so that we can go in and deal with it again later. So, because this wasn't set within the game, we're just going to set it to 1/365 because we wanted to run January to December. That's kind of how it's built now. Everything else is fine. Yeah, we'll leave that as it is. And then in our modded information, we're going to find those races in our feature race file. Feature races underscore jumps.db. We're going to open this up, and this is a list of all these races. There's a bunch of different ways you can kind of quantify all the fields and all the information about these races. And this is a helpful file I've built of a lot of different mod information, which I will make available at some point. But showcase editing is the main part. It's going to show us all the information. Feel free to pause. You can look at all this, but there's a number of different things and ways that this gets set up. So, that being said, we're going to be just looking for these names in turn. So, Champion Hurdle Trial into the Champion Hurdle. Okay, so I want these to be big races, not huge races. So I think 1.5 million, kind of good for the bulk of them. That's pretty much all I'm going to change. I'm going to go over here to administrator mode though to make sure I can save it. But yeah, the only thing I'm going to change about this one is the prize money. This isn't quite as big a race. We're going to make that 1 million. And then we got the Queen Mother's Chase, which should be somewhere close, but Queen Mother Champion Chase, and again, we're just going to make that 1 million. So the Champions Hurdle's 1.5, of those two are 1. And then we got the Ryanair Chase. Gonna make that 1 million. We got the Stayers Hurdle. Gonna make that 1 million. And the Gold Cup. So we can change this from a fixed field of 13 to either a different fixed field number, or if we see, here we go, we got force field small or force field medium. These are the only options you have: medium, small, or fixed field. The distance is in furlongs. This is 26.5 furlongs, which is going to get you the 110 yards. That's half of a furlong. So that's why you can see 3 times 8, 8 furlongs to a mile. So 3 times 8 gives you your 24, plus 2 to take you to 26, and a half is 110 yards. 3 miles, 2 furlongs, 110 equals 26.5 furlongs. So that's how you type that in. The race category tag, I say there's a number of things here. You can put handicaps. You can make this a group 1 handicap by putting a little H at the end of it. You can see here we've got novice races, we've got listed handicaps, we've got handicaps for up to 145 rated horses. Novice handicap there, grade 3 handicaps. So you can change them, but yeah, we want to keep all these grade 1s, basically, because that's what's going to make better horses go in them, better horses win them, better horses breed, and just continually have good horses in the game. So after that, the next one we want to check is the Betway Bowl. That's becoming $1 million. Entry hurdle. This is becoming $1.5 million. Actually, no, it's going to become $1.25 million. That's fine. And then the Melling can also be 1.25. The Stayers hurdle at Aintree. Yes. Not at Cheltenham. The one at Aintree. That can be that can be $1 million. And the Grand National is there all set up. So 40 runners in that. Big prize money. Cool. So now we've edited all this prize money. I think that's all really good. We can kick out of that for now. And then using this, we can go back and double check. So we're going to fire up the game. I'm going to dive in the schedule editor, edit the schedule, and go ahead again and add these back in the correct positions that we want them in. So Champions Hurdle, okay. So March 15 through 18. Yeah, old course, new course. And then that one, okay. So you can see, don't know, we would jump to April. We were just in March. It's very finicky sometimes. So there's the Cheltenham Old Course. Okay, I should have kept that little floating one, but that's fine. Because I can always create new ones and just put them in places. I ain't gonna lose them. Cool, so on the 15th, we've got the Champions Hurdle. And these should be more or less in order, but we want to put them at the end of the day. Because that then becomes the feature. That's the last race of the day, the big one everyone waits around for. The Champion Hurdle on day 1 of this meeting. And then just before that, I'm going to slot in David Nixon. So whatever you put, that'll put in after, if it can. But we've got these two now being the highlights here. Queen Mother Champions is going at the end on the 16th at the Cheltenham Old Course. And then on the 17th on the new course, we've got the Ryanair's Chase and then the Stayers Hurdle going back in. And the Cheltenham Gold Cup as the highlight race at the end there on the 18th. Then we move forward to the start of April. And now we got the Betway and the Aintree Hurdle here. We got the Melling on the 8th. Grand National is the big reason to be there on the 9th. And then my question becomes, isn't this enough? 2 grade 3 handicaps and the Grand National itself. Like, really, you're not coming for these. You're coming for the Grand National. Does it make sense to move the stayers back to the 8th? Maybe. I'm trying to look at distances here as well and what might also work. But I quite like that. I quite like that. So we've got the Betway Ball and the entry hurdle on day 1. You've got the stayers hurdle and then the mailing chase on day 2. Let's have the entry hurdle, then the Betway Ball, or the stayers hurdle, then the mailing chase. And on day 3, is the Grand National is all you need to attract people there. I feel pretty decent about that. Another thing to double check is, are there any graded races missing? So not here, not in Australia. In Ireland, we've got a Group 3 Tipperary in July. It's the one with a broken name. That's why I haven't put that in. That's fine. France should all be pretty much in. There's a bunch of other graded races that aren't. Why that one isn't in, I don't know. Because it won't go in. Okay. We'll come back and double check that one again when we reload it. All of Japan's races are in. This is a duplicate name that I could go and re-edit, but it's a Group 3 handicap, and I don't really care that much. Cool. So, from 1 to 365, it's going to crash. Because those 2 races that we added in that didn't show up into the schedule is what's crashed it. I'm 99% sure. But the game didn't show us that they were in there, or the edit didn't show us they were in there. And so that kind of sucks. But pretty much everything was in. Okay. Okay, so I've just got to remember where these were and kind of do them again. So, Grand National finishes off the 9th. On the 8th, Slayers, and then the mailing on the 7th, entry hurdle, and then the bowl. I believe that's correct. I believe that's correct. Okay. Cheltenham Gold Cup. We moved the Stayers hurdle back 1. Yeah, we've got the Stayers and the Ryanair Chase there. Then on the old course, we only had 1 on the 16th. Do I still like that? I don't mind having the Queen Mother being the feature here. Kind of think I want the Champions Hurdle to be the big feature here, though. Because we did make it more prize money. We did make it more prize money. 1,365. And then France. Yeah, if it's going to crash, I don't really want to put that in. I feel fairly good about this. I feel fairly good about this schedule. Okay. So, name this okay. Go back out. Crash the schedule. We've made changes to the database we're going to copy and paste to overwrite our mod data, since that's what the game is going to be pulling from. We're finished editing our schedule, so I'm going to rename that back to its placeholder title and bring back the default data the game needs to start a new game. And now's our test. Now's the actual testing. We're pulling from the start date mod. We're UK jump schedule. Gonna put it in slot 6. And we're testing. Okay. 1 year is all that we need to do. Simple training. Everything else should be fine. Not gonna set up any legends. And we're just gonna watch and see what happens. And again, the first crash doesn't take long. The first crash is like, the point for the crash is somewhere around 5-10 seconds. Sort of halfway to the "this will take a while" text on the bottom. We're past that. Next breakpoint is in the middle of the M. I will come back and let you know whether we made it that far, or we'll come back just before that point and you can see it approach and maybe crash. Hopefully it won't. Okay, we're getting close. It's ticking along. Somewhere around here would be a crash. It didn't pause. It went through that middle part. So now it can crash right at the end of the creation process, which is not that long away. Somewhere around here. The bar will stop even if it doesn't crash. Where's it going to go to? There. So it could still crash here. It could also just take us into the save game. And there we go. We didn't crash. So, yeah, if you're trying to edit from the default schedule, sometimes you have issues. Why do you have issues? I don't know. I really don't know. Default game schedule just isn't syntaxed right for some reason, but the default game makes it work. The default on the start date mod doesn't work very well for combined or jumps, and I don't know why. Because when I built one from scratch, it worked, and I compared everything, and to be honest with you, it looked right. I couldn't find a reason why. I debugged the hell out of it. The field size was right. The secondary nations were done right. They were exactly the same. The start date, end dates were right. The way everything was syntaxed, everything was contained in the right brackets, and like everything was good. It just sometimes doesn't want to work. But if you've got a schedule you can work off, it does work, as we just seen. So this is our 1 year tester. So all we really want to do here is, let me move this out of the way. I'm going to go through certain list of dates. If I just build a list of dates. I can keep them on screen that way. So give me a second. So give me a second. This isn't all that complicated, but it's a little more brain power than I have right now for some reason. Okay, so we can check that. That one comes first. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, this is being problematic. Don't know why it's being problematic, but I got a list of dates I can check. Nope, I don't want to check my horses. I clicked here. Okay. So the first thing we're looking at then is February 6th. This is the first set of races. So there we go. There's our double header in Ireland. They are still set up. They're good. I could increase these a little bit and make it more of a feature. Don't really want to. Don't really feel we need to. So March. The 15th through the 18th. The Cheltenham Festival is a little more prestigious now on the old course. We've got the Mares Hurdle, the Champion Chase, and then highlighted by their big race at 1.5 million, the Champion Hurdle. Then you move on to the new course, where we've got the Stayers Hurdle, the Ryanair Chase, and then headlined by their premier race, which is the second highest prize money in Britain, 4 million for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Next, we move to April. And so at Aintree, we've got these races highlighted by the Aintree Hurdle and the Betway Bowl. Moving on the next to the Stayers Hurdle and the Melling Chase, and capped off day 3 by the richest race in British racing, the Grand National. Like that. That's pretty cool. And then May the 2nd, that's a National Hand Cup with all our Triple Crown races. That becomes big. We move into June, and we get our second legs of the Triple Crown and more of the National Hunt Cups. And then it's kind of a break until we get to September 20th. That was weird. It's kind of a break till we get to September 20th to finish off our Triple Crown. So July, August, a little weak, and then October, November, December, a little quiet as well. So we could look to add in more here. There are some races though. There are a couple of decent kind of bits and pieces scattered around. But it's just we've added 3 brand new fictional events. Oh my god. No thank you. Windows wants to be weird there. We've added the Aintree National Cup meeting, the Cheltenham National Hunt Cup meeting, and I realised that these are not fully correct. And the Ascot National Hunt Cup. We fixed this. We got the Hatter something right? November 29th. So finicky. 27th. The Hatton's Grace Hurdle. that is 4-year-old and up. And that'll be on November 27th. So we've changed that into 2 mile 4 furlong. Like it's supposed to be. So yeah, these are all the changes I've made to this schedule. We've tested and we've come out with. But they're all correct. This is the right distance. Grand National, Cheltenham Gold Cup are now really the star races in Britain, and are boosted with a good little meeting at Aintree and at the old and new courses at Cheltenham. And the Dublin Racing Festival has its 8 grade 1s to begin the year. So the beginning of the year is kind of packed, and later on is a little weaker, which means we could move these about a little bit if we wanted to. Like from February to May, from May to July. No, I think I keep this in February, but from May to July, June to August, and September to November, maybe. Kind of have it spread out that way. That could be another idea to do, but yeah, have your feedback, comment section down below what you think about that. As well as just the idea for these National Hunt Cups, and whether or not you'd want a version without them. Would you want a more realistic one where we undo a bunch of these? Basically, it would just be the, Grand National will go back to a grade 3 handicap. The Gold Cup wouldn't get boosted prize money, and none of these National Hunt Cup races or Triple Crowns would be on that schedule. Because I think I might make a version of that if there's demand for it. But yeah, I'm going to be testing out these a little more and just kind of seeing what happens and who wins. But I think the next step is we're also now going to test for the 10-year start. Excuse me. We're going to do it for the 10-year start. That's not terrible. It's not great, but that's not terrible starting horse. I am looking just to see if the game's going to provide us with anything stupendous. That's pretty decent for not really being that good, but for being starter horses. We may want to look at them later. But yeah, we created a 10-year start now. 10-year start's going to be infinitely better for us. It gives us more history. It gives us a little more to play with. And clicking down here is going to crash the game. No reason why it would crash the game, but it decided, because I just deleted files, clicking something else was going to crash the game. So make sure my mod is selected. UK jumps. Go into slot number 2. Okay. No crash this time. 10 years. Set to mega, set to 2 years of replays, deselect, and go. And that's going to take absolutely ages to process. Might crash. This normally takes like 30 minutes to an hour. You can see the tiny amounts of progress it is building. So that's where we're going to leave it off. But I hope that's been somewhat instructional about how to edit the showcase file, what types of things you can put in. And the easiest way of doing it, I think, is just copying and pasting a similar type race. Find the race course you want that's got the right sort of jumps, flats, hurdles, whatever kind of field that you want there on the sub course, on the race course. So say Ascot and jumps, you find the race which fits there. And then you basically just copy and paste that, edit it to suit, whether you're changing the prize money, the distance, the race conditions, whether or not there's a handicap, etc. Like, you change all your information, you save it, you go into your schedule editor, you can add it where you want. Make sure you save it after that and there's no issues. Load it back up, make sure it's still there and there's no issues. And if that's the case, then you can try and build a game out of it. But I hope that's a little bit on showcase editing, makes it a little easier to navigate. And yeah, Notepad is a little dodgy. It can definitely cause some problems when saving. I do highly, highly recommend Notepad++. It is just far superior in every way, shape, and form, especially with syntax critical things like this. So it's free. I don't get anything from it. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just going to be in your interest to go get, I would say. And it's what I use to take all my notes anyway. You can close down the program, completely open it up, and it does keep your notes there for you, even if you have not yet saved them. So that's pretty cool. But I think we've done a lot of editing. There's a lot more grade 1 races. There's a lot of runnable races now for 4-year-olds, as well as the 5 and ups. I think that's key. You can see here 4-year-olds and 4-year-olds up. We've got races at Ascot in May. 2-1, 2-2. 2 at 2-1, 3 at 2-2. Nope, I don't want to save it. I know I did that. And then here again, we got then a 2-2, 2-3, 2-3, and 3 2-mile 4 furlongs. Wow. I must have been in a rush when I was typing these out because I'm missing the Fs. Wow. And then later on it moves to 2-5s, 2-6, and 3 miles. So I think that's a good coverage of distances throughout the season. Plenty of races for 4-year-olds and 4-year-olds and older. And then, as you say, the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds, especially then getting their own Triple Crowns to run, but also being eligible for all the National Hunt Cups as well, because the big 4 are for 5-year-olds and older. But I think that keeps us competitive in our 4, 5, and 6-year-old seasons. You can even run the Grand National now at 6 instead of 7, and that will give us more time to kind of develop these horses, more races that we can win that are big, prestigious money races, big features. Those are the ones that really are going to develop your horse if you do well. And it's going to allow the AI to book those races, and those horses are going to win, and they're going to develop more, and they're going to interbreed, and we're just going to have a better world of horses to play in and to breed from and to run against. I think it all makes sense to me. So let me know what you think, comment section down below. And National Hunt Cup races, yes or no, the ideas behind them, any changes you might make. The Triple Crowns for 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and 6-year-old seasons, the way they're split up and layered them, we can change the dates, like I say, from May to maybe the end of June, start of July, from mid-end June to end of August, early September maybe, and from mid-September then to late October, early November perhaps, to space those meetings out a bit, because we are pretty good February, March, April. We don't then need to run into big meetings in May and June, perhaps. Would spreading those out be better? Have your say in the comment section down below. And as well, like I say, the edits to the prize money for these races and making this 6-year-old and a grade 1 instead of a grade 3 handicap. So lots of changes, lots of things to have your opinion on, lots more testing to do. And when it's all tested and I'm happy with it, then I can start the release process. I know it's a bit annoying, but I'm not going to put something unfinished out that doesn't look right, doesn't feel right, doesn't play right, or ends up crashing in any way, shape, or form, because that's kind of where I've been with these schedules for the past couple of weeks now. So it's been pretty much a month and a half. I've been working on these in my spare time. So yeah, I want to get them right before I give them out. I want to get permission from the mod maker MJ first as well. Um, so yeah, I'll get those up and get those out to you as soon as I can. My little tips booklet and my little editing booklet here I've been building with all this information. You can pause and read and copy and do what you want, take screenshots, I don't care. But they will also be going up into a Google form or available as a download somewhere, basically, that you can get all this information for yourself. So I hope it's been instructional. I hope you've somewhat enjoyed or learned something. And I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, please do comment, like, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Check out the other playlists available. We've got some great playthroughs going on, and these videos are the setup schedules that we will end up playing in a US flat and a UK jump schedules that we've currently got going as long-term saves now, with some varying levels of success. So go check those out if you already haven't. Memberships, as I say, available on the channel. Please take a look if you can. And yeah, until then, take care, stay safe, all the very best to you. And any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them, to clarify anything, and also if we need to make amendments or do an update at some point, we will do that too. So just let me know, and I'll see you very soon. See you guys.